What is going on, investors? In this video, I'm going to compare two trading platforms, TD Ameritrade and M1 Finance, and answer the question, which trading platform is best for you at the end of this video. So before we get started, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Sean, and my channel is all about investing, option trading, and passive income. And the whole point of this is that so that I can invest my money for financial freedom in the future, because you don't always want to be working for your money, right? You want your money working hard for you. And you can't have your money sitting in cash, especially for the interest rate that we're getting in these high yield checking accounts at this current rate. So in order to reach financial freedom, you need to invest your money. And this is what this channel is all about. So let's get started. So the first brokerage account we're going to talk about is TD Ameritrade. And a trading platform that they own is called Thinkorswim. And this is what makes TD Ameritrade so great, is that you can use this trading platform. So let's take a look at my screen so I can show you what I'm talking about. So here on the screen, this is my simulated trading account. And this is kind of the monitor page where you can see my activity and positions right here. You can see I have an overview of some of these simulated trading stocks that I have in my account. And the first tool that I use a lot is charts. And as you can see this chart, there's a lot of information on here and a lot of up arrows, right? And lines and colors and stuff like that. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I just want you to know that you can really customize this so that you have a lot of control and you can analyze stocks very closely. Okay. So for example, right, I could change the time frame right here. I could change it from 1 year to 5 years, right? I could change it to 20 days, right? If you want to go to that, that level. And there are also different studies that that you can add on these, such as simple moving average, MACD, stochastics, and volume. But I really think this is just all these studies are just to help you just look at what the trend is of the stock. And I think the simpler the better. And I really honed it down to these studies. But I'm not going to go into detail about this. I just want you to know that TD Ameritrade, you can go down the rabbit hole and you can really customize this so that you can analyze every detail of the price movement of a stock. So next, we're going to go to the trade tab. And this is where I mainly do sell cover calls. But we're not going to go into that yet. But I have various videos about selling cover calls. And this is how I generate money for my dividends investing. Okay. So you can see right here this stock Visa, and the last price was $180.93. And there's also something called the bid and the ask price. Okay. And to understand the bid and ask price, just understand the bid price is the highest price a securities buyer will pay, and the ask price is the lowest price a securities seller will accept. And so these are kind of based on demand, right? So you can buy a stock in between these prices. So the last price, right, is $180.93, and that's the ask price. But I can put in an offer saying, I want to buy these stocks in between these prices at a cheaper rate. And if you want to buy it, or if you want to sell me those stocks, feel free to. Okay. And this is what makes TD Ameritrade and Thinkorswim great versus M1 Finance, because you can buy stocks at a cheaper rate. Okay. Next is that you can buy stocks at any time of the day. I'm not any time of day. Whenever the market is open, right? You could buy stocks after the market's closed, but your orders are going to go in when the market opens. Versus M1 Finance, you only have one buying window in the free account. And if for the paid M1 spend, I think, or M1 Plus, you have two trading windows in which you can buy stocks. What makes this good is that you can buy stocks instantly versus having to wait for a time in the day to buy stocks, right? Because if you only have one market window to buy stocks, you're kind of fixed to that price. What happens if the stock jumps up or gaps down in price? You're kind of just dictated by whenever the order window or the buy window is for M1 Finance. Versus TD Ameritrade, you have instant access to the latest price, right? So you can buy stock and you have, high confidence that you're going to buy the stock at whatever bid or ask price that you are going to buy the stock at. And another thing about TD Ameritrade is that you have execution orders, so you can buy stocks with different orders, right? There's market orders, limit orders, and stop orders, right? And there's more than that. And I don't want to go into the detail of that, but just know that market orders, you're kind of buying the stock at whatever the stock was last price. And next, there are different stock fund execution orders, right? Such as market orders, where you're buying the stock at kind of the latest price. You're not trying to bargain. You're not saying, hey, can I buy it at this price, at the bid price, or in between the bid and ask, right? You're buying it at the highest price possible just to get in, right? Because if the stock is going up and people are trying to buy, you're not kidding around and saying, I'm going to offer you just a little bit less than the actual ask price. Nope, you're saying, I want to buy the stock at the ask price because I want that stock now. And there's other orders, right? There's limit and stop orders where you can say, I want to buy a stock at a certain price, and when it hits that certain price, I want you to buy X amount of shares. And what this is good is that, say if you're researching a stock and eyeing it, and you want to buy that stock at a certain price, right? Versus having to look at the market every day and during the trading, during the market's open, right? And just, looking at the price. No, you can say, hey, I want to buy it at this price and this many shares. And this is good, right? If you're value investing and eyeing a certain price of the stock, you want that order to go in quickly right when it hits that price. Versus M1 Finance, you're just waiting for the market window, right? And this is kind of the main difference between M1 Finance and TD Ameritrade, where M1 Finance is more about pie investing, which we're going to go into shortly. So let me just finish with TD Ameritrade before we go into M1 Finance. So just note that there are no initial deposits for TD Ameritrade. However, you need a $2,000 deposit in order to be considered for margin option privileges. The cons of Thinkorswim is that it's really just, sometimes it's a buggy software. Like just updating it every time I log in is just kind of a pain, just because it just takes a little while to update. And then also it's kind of hard to learn. And my customizations, they tend to disappear for some reason. I'm not sure why, but I save my customizations and then I just load them up each time that I need to. But for some reason they keep appearing, and you can see in the upper right of the screen, you can see the save workspace as, share workspace. See, I have like these different workspaces that I like to keep whenever these indicators disappear. And so this is just the one thing about TD Ameritrade that kind of just bugs me, right? That it's kind of buggy. However, I do like TD Ameritrade's support. They have great customer service. If we go to this help tab right here, I'm not sure if it's going to pull up right now since this is a simulated trading and they're closed, but they have a phone number, they have an email, and they have a live chat too that's open when the market's open. And based on my experience, their customer service has been great. And I just love the customer service because they're quick and they're helpful. So we're going to take a look at M1 Finance, and I'm going to give the pros and cons of that trading platform. So next we're going to talk about M1 Finance. And I'm going to share my screen so that we could talk about the pros and cons of this trading platform. So let's take a look. So right off the bat, you can tell M1 Finance has a more intuitive look and feel to this. And you can see down here I have upcoming trades, and I have a trade tomorrow at 7 a.m. And this is what we were talking about before, is that you only have one window for the free account in order to buy stocks, right? Versus TD Ameritrade, you could buy stocks whenever the market's open, right? And in order to have 2 trading windows, you have to pay for M1 Plus in order to have a trading window of 12 tomorrow. And the main thing that makes M1 Finance better than TD Ameritrade is what's called pie-based investing. And so let's take a look at my investing pie, and I have a dividend investing portfolio right here, right? And what's nice is that you have like these nice summary screens right here, so you can see, you know, what my return would be if I invest this for 5 years, right? I have 38 holdings. This is my dividend yield and my expense ratio. And if you're clicking my pies, right, you can edit the pies, right? And you could say, okay, I want to invest 22% in this pie that I made for this portfolio, right? And you can also customize this, right, and change it based on your investing strategy. And this what makes M1 Finance really nice, is that you can put these stocks in different folders or pies, right? And you could change the percentage that you're going to invest in these pies really easily. So if you go down, you can see here are my slices again, and I could click in the slices of the pie and see all my holdings, right? And here are my 4 holdings that I invest in for bonds, right? So I'm gonna go back, and my real estate pie, right? And you can see my different companies that I invest in, and I also say, you know, what percentage that I want to invest for each company in these pies, all right? And it also shows me these nice dividend yields and this nice graph. And to me, this is what makes M1 Finance really good, is that you can easily invest in these stocks and be relatively hands-off with what companies you're going to invest in and what portfolio allocation that you want to invest in. And the next thing about M1 Finance that makes it better than TD Ameritrade are the fractional shares. It makes it easier to buy into expensive companies like Amazon, right? I mean, if you don't have $2,000 laying around, or if you don't even want to buy a whole share of Amazon, you could buy a fraction of a share of Amazon. So if you had $50, you could buy $50 worth of an Amazon share, right? And this is what makes M1 Finance good, because it makes stocks more accessible, right? It's easier to get into these high barrier stocks, which makes it easier to make a more well-diversified portfolio to invest in. And the next thing about M1 Finance, which makes it great, is M1 Borrow. And this is just a easy way to borrow money at a low interest rate. And I'm going to use this when I build my M1 Finance account to $10,000 so that I can leverage my money and borrow against it. And this is kind of my way of having an emergency account, just in case if something happens, right? And the interest rate is really low. It's at 3.5%, which is probably going to go down because the Fed lowered their interest rates, but we're going to see on that. And this is one of the ways that the rich get richer, is because they have these financial products where they can borrow money against their stocks, just in case if they need money, right? Versus if you're just having your emergency fund sitting in a checking account or a high yield saving account, which good luck trying to even get 2%, you're just kind of losing money to inflation all the time, right? Versus if you could just have $10,000 or $20,000, right, and you're earning that yield, right, that dividend yield that we get around 4%, 5%, which is conservative, but yet it's higher than inflation, right? And you could borrow against that money just in case you need it, right? This is just one of the ways that the rich use different products to get richer. And the last pro about M1 Finance is that retirement accounts. I really think M1 Finance is a great way if you want to make a retirement account or a conservative, but yet you don't want to be too invested or spend too much time on managing your money or a dividend portfolio. I think M1 Finance is just a really great trading platform for that, right? If you want more detail, you could go down the rat hole at TD Ameritrade. Now, for M1 Finance, you need an initial deposit of $100 in order to have a taxable account. And a $500 minimum is required for retirement accounts. After that, there are no minimums in order to invest with M1 Finance. And the cons about M1 Finance, as we kind of touched about when we talked about TD Ameritrade, is that you can only buy shares through a percentage. So if we look at my screen, right, if I'm going to type in Visa, and I'm going to add this to my portfolio, right, I can only buy a certain percentage of Visa, right? And so this was what makes M1 Finance different compared to TD Ameritrade. You can't really buy shares at a cheaper rate, right? You're buying it at the price that they're at, I believe it's just at a market price, right? And you're buying at a certain trade window, which is at 7 a.m., right? You can't just buy the share whenever you want. Versus TD Ameritrade, right? You can buy shares whenever you want, and you know how many shares you're getting, right? Versus M1 Finance, right? This is what makes M1 Finance good, right? Is because you could buy fractional shares of the stock, so which makes it easier to get in different stocks. Makes it easier to get into different stocks. And the next thing about M1 Finance that I don't really like is that it's kind of hard to kind of just customize things, right? If, say for example, I want to move a utility company, right, Dominion Energy, right, to another slice, you can't just easily move that company to different folders or pies within your pies. I believe the only way is that you have to sell your company, and then you would have to buy that company in the other slice. And based on my research, please let me know if this is wrong or incorrect, is that when you do that, M1 Finance behind the scenes just does that without having any short-term, like, tax ramifications, right? Because say, for example, you wanted to own this company for the long term, but didn't want to be taxed in the short term, right? That they actually take care of that. So if you sell one slice and add into another slice, they put in a system where you still own that slice. You never sold it. But I really wish it was just easier than that versus having to rely on M1 Finance to do this kind of behind the scenes and just hope, because I don't want to have to contact M1 Finance when I get my tax statements and say like, hey, I didn't really sell this company for short-term gains. Why am I being taxed on that? And this is another thing about M1 Finance is I haven't really had too much experience with this, but I've heard that they don't have great customer service on this. But everyone, please let me know. I just haven't really had to actually contact customer service M1 Finance. So the similar things between M1 Finance and TD Ameritrade, right, is just there's something called DRIP, where you can reinvest your dividends back into your stock or your pie, right? TD Ameritrade, you're investing back in stock, versus DRIP, you're investing versus M1 Finance, you're putting that money back into your pie. So it makes dividend reinvesting really easy in that you can invest in different companies. You can reinvest those dividends into different companies or different parts of your pies all at once. Versus TD Ameritrade, you're reinvesting those dividends back in the same stock. And lastly are zero commissions. This is great. There are no commissions now for M1 Finance. There's always been, and that's been their philosophy. Versus TD Ameritrade, they've also went to zero commissions. However, for option trading, there is a 65-cent for each option trade that you do. So, which is really minimal, because the trading fees and commissions were actually a lot higher until this race to the bottom, where a lot of brokerage accounts, they actually went to zero commissions. So before we get to the end, if you found this content valuable, I want you to hit that like button just to let the YouTube gods know that this content actually helped you, so that it can help the next person. And subscribe if you want to get more content about investing for financial freedom. So getting to the question of which brokerage account should you use, right? M1 Finance, if you are a beginner, this is just a great way to get investing, right? You can buy shares of Amazon at a fraction of the price. It has a nice intuitive interface, and it's a lot easier to diversify your funds when you can buy fraction shares of a stock and create different pies. And this is why I use M1 Finance for my dividend investing portfolio, just because M1 Finance is more hands-off and I can see how my stocks are allocated in these different pies better than TD Ameritrade. And TD Ameritrade, if you want to have more detail, more control, this is the trading platform for you. You can buy stocks at a cheaper price. You have different charts and indicators, right? But just know you have to really learn the platform, right? There's so many little things about TD Ameritrade that you need to learn, and it's just a little buggy. However, I do like TD Ameritrade. It's probably one of the best trading platforms out there, in my opinion. And don't forget about the simulated trading, right? Where you can practice different trades. And this is what makes Thinkorswim really powerful, right? Because if you're a beginner, if you can practice your trades and have more confidence, it's just going to make you a better investor. If you're going to get started investing, you can start with M1 Finance and work with that, right? Try it out, play around with it for a year, right? And then after that, when you feel more comfortable with investing, you can move to TD Ameritrade. So that's it, guys. Let me know in the comments down below, which trading platform are you using and why? And if this video helped you out, hit that like button and subscribe. And take care, investors, and happy trading.